Well, welcome back to Good Day Columbia, and as we do every Tuesday morning, we're talking employment. Lori Cook from the Richland County Library, Public Library rather, joins us this morning with some of the basics references. Now, Lori, I know I can't use my mom as a reference, but what about my friends?
Yeah, I would leave your friends off too. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I've been getting a lot of questions lately about references. So whenever I hear some things from our customers, and I think, well, maybe there's other people out there with questions.
Right.
So mainly, you want your references to speak to the things about you that an employer would be interested in. You want them to be able to talk about you professionally. So it's always great when you can have a former supervisor recommend you.
If you didn't burn any bridges.
Right, if you didn't burn any bridges. But sometimes companies don't allow it, and all that the potential employer is going to get when they call that company is, yes, Friendy worked here from this date to this date, he made this much money, we don't have anything, no disciplinary write-ups on him, and they don't get anything really about you.
Oh, is that because of corporate policy where they can't?
Right, so we really want to create like a pool of references, maybe several people that you can go to when you need someone to speak on your behalf and about the specific things that you're interested in. So if you've told somebody that you're highly creative, make sure your references will say, gosh, Friendy, it's so creative, and when things start going wrong, he always comes up with the best ideas, and you want your references to speak for that. That's why you have to ask permission. I see a lot of people at the end of their resume or somewhere, they just start writing names, and they've never talked to these people. They never told them, hey, I'm in a job search.
So the polite thing to do is, if I'm looking for a job and I list you, Lori Cook, a former supervisor, I should inform you that I'm listing you down.
Yes, ask my permission, because I may not be comfortable with it. So you have to be prepared for someone to say no. But you know what? You and I could be references for each other because we've worked together on a particular project. They don't have to speak towards, I don't know your whole work history, but I know that we work really well together, and that we, Friendy always shows up, he's got good ideas, he always contributes. So just remember that a reference can just speak to one particular issue that you're trying to bring up on your resume, but always ask permission, always have accurate information. Keep up with that information, and don't fake it. Don't make up names and numbers.
Well, how about, there are sometimes people put the references available upon request, or does that kind of deter the potential employer from hiring you if they're like, how come he or she didn't list any people?
Well, here's the truth. I'm glad you brought that up. You don't need that statement on your resume. Your resume is just, you're either going to include your references on your application. A lot of people do that. And remember that they're going to contact former supervisors to check your work history. So your references should be somebody different that'll speak to those qualities about you. But then always take your references with you to your interview. Offer them. They may or may not take them, and that's okay. They have a process, but just always have them ready.
Now, speaking of the references, if someone, a potential employer, calls that individual, what if they find out it's a family member? Is that really bad to have a family member?
If the family member can speak to how you work, it's could be okay, but always try to do. And listen, if you're a student, that's your teachers, your coaches, the person that teaches you karate. That could be a neighbor, would be better than a parent or a family member. I see a lot of people use their pastor, but remember, it has to be about professionally how you work. So if they can't speak to that, another great option is if you volunteer. Who did you volunteer for? They could speak to that.
That is really good.
So that's what I mean about trying to create a pool. Maybe you have 10 or 12 references. We always think 3. That's the trigger in our mind, because that's usually what they ask for. But having several more, you get to pick and choose the best ones.
All right, Lori Cook from the Richland County Public Library talking about references. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next Tuesday.
All right, I'll be here.
All right.